Before I lived here, I lived out in the woods in New Hampshire for a while. Like 2 years, 3 years. It's fucking awesome. Starting to miss that place. I just saw something that I'd never seen before. This little thing that we cut through all the time, the jungle, we call it. It's like a path for people to walk through. Black kid riding a motorcycle through there. Never seen that before. You're not supposed to, obviously. But, no one would say anything to him because you know what's going to happen. You know how that's going to go. Hey, dude, you're not supposed to ride through here. What do you think's going to happen? We know, right? But yeah, never seen that before because people normally wouldn't do that because they know, you know, they know better. The thing is, like, some of these dudes know better and they do it anyway, almost like, you know, I'll fuck you, I'm going to do this, you know. Hang on. Just doing things that normal people know not to do reminds me of my my elevator. I've talked about this before, but in my elevator, there's 2 elevators that go up to you know, up the building, and occasionally there'll be a flyer in there talking about a meeting, you know, maybe of the owners of the units and stuff. But since we've had that great replacement where we got rid of the Pacific Islanders and brought in all the Africans, we now have a collage of flyers, multicolored flyers, telling people to not do things. Like, please don't let your dogs walk unattended through the to the building. Please don't throw things off the lanai, you know, the edges. Please don't wash rental cars or company cars out back. Because there are people that just this whole thing that we've never had to have messages there for, because no one would ever do this kind of stuff. There's another one. You can change windshield wipers, but please don't do automotive work in the garage. Again, we never had to have these flyers because we didn't have the people here that would be, you know, ignorant to do that kind of stuff, you know. Now we do. We got a lot of them, you know, as you can see, right? So they have all kinds of flyers here. But and I know the building manager, the cool guy, and, you know, we've kind of talked about it. We don't have to say anything. It's like that white telepathy, you know. We're just like, yeah, I know. But there's a new one that appeared in there today or yesterday, which is more desperate. Please do not. The back of the building is for contractors and for something else. It's not for guests to park in. All this kind of rude shit like that they're running into. I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it up here, and I'll show you the other ones too. We never had anything like this before. Pre-COVID, we didn't have to, because we didn't have the people here that would fucking do that kind of stuff, you know. So it's like the kid riding the motorcycle through the footpath. You can't fucking. It's not meant for vehicles. You don't tear all that shit up in there. But who's gonna say something to him? The response would either be like just complete blank stare and nothing would get through and they'd keep riding through there, or an altercation. Maybe an altercation. Maybe some accusations of racism. You're only saying this to me because I'm black. You know, they do that. And yeah, they just, like, as if any more evidence was needed that they're just not good at civilization, like a orderly, civilized society. They're just not good at it. You know, it is what it is. You know, it's not anything. It's just, you know, it's, the thing is, white people are kind of the best at it because they built it and they maintain it. You know, Asians did as well. The Asians are the only other people that can do that kind of thing, right? Any other country, take a look at what's going on over there. It's a fucking shit show. You know, it's the third world. The third world for a reason, you know. Really only Asians and white people can kind of do it. As far as building a society and a, you know, infrastructure that everyone can live orderly in. Who can go into a store, right, and just stand in line and wait their turn and not have to act out to get like a 10. It's a child. It's the child thing again. You know, going back to child. You know, Murdoch red pilled me on that. This is one episode. He's going through the forest and there's this tree. And the tree is like welfare. The welfare tree, the government, and he's attacking this little black girl. And he at first he's going to walk by it. And he's like, he's seeing she's a little black girl, the thing's helping him. He's like, oh, I fucking hate being a white male sometimes. Step away from the... And then he said something that I can't say at the moment, but I will in a moment. He's like, step away from the nigger baby. And he went in there and saved her. And then it's like he's hanging out with her, you know, trying to get her to safety. She can't really talk. He's like, hey, do you have parents? And this and that. And she keeps doing annoying shit, right? Whole time. And he's like, why do you like this? You're like a child. And he's like a child. That's why the inner cities are the way they are. And it lines up. You know, I've started applying that to interactions I had where I just keep in my mind, like, keep it in your mind, this is your 8-year-old cousin. You know? Just not as smart and not as good looking. Speaking of black people, holy shit. Like the banana boat came in. There's so many of them around here today. Target was full of them. And I know they're new because they have the lays on. When you get off the airplane, usually loved ones or someone will put the lay on your neck. In their case, it's probably the government that puts it on their neck, but they all had them on. That's how you can tell for sure if they're new. But there's a lot of other ones too. They're just, you got to understand, right? You check. I know this is probably impossible for people to believe, but prior to COVID, we had net zero population of black people here. None. Net zero. We had Charles, who I think he used to be in the military. He's been here for ages. He's always raking his front yard. Nice guy. We had one homeless guy that he's got a beard, like a white beard, a mustache, and I usually say hi to him. He's kind of there, but he's not there, you know. And there was another guy that died, and well, there was a black lady who I used to buy McDonald's for. I think she died too. She had a little dog. Let me think of who else. Oh, my friend Mark. Yeah, and Mark. I haven't seen Mark in a long time. Who else? Nia's co-worker's boyfriend, who she is now in some kind of witness protection program type thing for battered women to hide from. The typical story. Trying to think. I don't know, that's kind of it. That's all I can think of. Like, and people have told me when I moved here, like, no, you won't see black people here. You know, Nia told me too when we moved here. She goes, oh yeah, you'll never have to deal with them again. Because I've lived in bad neighborhoods and, you know, had to deal with them in the past. Kind of sucks, you know, because they're so different. They're so different than us that there's just no way to coexist peacefully. Yeah, I remember, like, I told the story at Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. When I was living here like a month, and I saw a black dude at the 24-hour store, and I always say I ran home like Charlie with the golden ticket to Nia to say, Nia, I saw a black guy at the 24-hour store. She's like, oh, you won't see many of them. He's probably on vacation. And they weren't big tourists either. Like, there wasn't a whole bunch of black people doing tourism. So you never saw them. I used to gloat on fucking Pole when they would be talking about having to deal with them in their cities. I'd be like, ha, I live in Honolulu. I don't have to deal with that. And I used to read their stories and be like, wow, they really have gotten crazy since 2008. 2008 was the Obama spell. Yeah, the racism spell. All presidents are spellcasters. They don't make the spell. They just do the talking to cast it. You know, they're trained their whole life, groomed for this role to be public speakers and all that shit, so that they're casting the spells, lesser magic. Anything mind control is considered lesser magic in the magical, but they're doing lesser magic on the industrial scale. They get everybody from the TV, and then they fucking just talk, and they have certain agendas they gotta get across, certain spells. He cast the racism spell. Donald Trump had a very particular spell. This is all in my opinion. I mean, of course I have no evidence of this. That goes for pretty much anything here. This is all just theory. You know, like sometimes if I speak about things with authority, it's only because in my head I worked it out over time, and I believe what I'm saying to be true. I could be wrong, but I'm not lying, you know? So I mean, it's all, I don't have fucking sources. But anyway, yeah, our government uses magic. They always have, since the very beginning. They give us science, capital S science, which is basically its own kind of religion, you know? That's the one all the Redditors get excited about. But yeah, since 2008, they've just gone nuts because of that spell. He cast that spell. And what I think, what it was really was, and he did this a bunch of times when he first got in, he would do these speeches where he'd tour around and talk about, you know, being president, now that he's president. And he'd always do something like this. He'd be like, you know, me and Michael have noticed that there are some people in this country who are not very happy a black man's president. And like, everybody was like, what? What are you talking about? Prior to this, like, racism wasn't an issue. I mean, it existed, of course, but it was so underground. It just wasn't a problem. In the 80s and the 90s, people were just black or white. When you went to see a movie with a black actor, it wasn't like, sit down, white people, this one's for us. It was just, he's a black actor and he's in this movie. There was no fucking racial problems at all. You know, I had black girlfriends, almost married one. It was kind of a stunt we were thinking about doing. I'm glad I didn't, because it was basically for a laugh, to freak out our friends at the time. I did that. I almost did that with a couple other girlfriends too. The funny thing is, and I've told this story here before, I had black girlfriends back to back. It just worked out that way. So when I was seeing the second one, I would go to places, I would hang out, like, you know, music venues or dive bars in Alston, Rock City. And I'd try to introduce her to people. And they would be like, oh, no, I met her. You know, I'd be like, no, you haven't fucking met her. Because they would think it's, you know, and it's not that, you know, all black people look the same or anything. It's just that it's kind of rare for, you know, white guys to have black girlfriends. So they just assumed when they saw me as a black girl, like, oh, that's your, you know, yeah, I met her before. And it's like, no, that's not Cheryl, it's Monica. She's a different one of those people. There is some funny shit though. Like the girl I seen before her was black. And we had some of my friends over the house. It wasn't like a party, but we were just probably, getting high, doing fucking this, that, or the other thing. And she had a swimming pool. And every time we had someone over there, like one of my friends, they'd always at some point come up to me and go, what's going on with the swimming pool? And I would just laugh, What it is bone density. That's why you see those films of the guys out in the woods. Like there's this one that has these guys out in the woods near like a little lake thing. They're like teenagers, and one goes in, he's splashing, and they're splashing each other with the water, and he starts going under, and then the other ones jump in to try to help him, and they go under, and then the camera's just shooting this quiet lake, because they're all dead, they all went under, because bone density, there's a lot of different physiological differences. We're not supposed to talk about it though. We're all just different. But yeah, he cast that spell. And things haven't been the same since. Because when he said, people in this country not very happy today. The black man's person. All the white people are like, what are you talking about? We voted for you. And all black people are like, huh. Hold up, what did you just say? And they all started looking at us sideways. And we're like, no, don't listen to him. No, we like you people. We have no problem during this era. And, yeah. And then that was kind of it. It just, from there, it got worse and worse. And if you've been alive the past 20 years, you've seen it. Now, there are kids, or young kids, like young black guys, that have grown up in this atmosphere walking on eggshells around them. So they've come to the conclusion that white people are just docile pushovers. And, they're fucking, and they treat them like they do. And they yell about racism and stuff. It's like, no, you haven't seen real racism. We haven't had real racism since before the civil rights movement. That was real racism. And the reason it was is because the same reasons we're having now. What would happen is that communities wouldn't be able to control them in their communities, and they were forced to make some tough decisions and some changes, and that's where you get Jim Crow and all this other stuff. It was done out of desperation, I had another fucking racially charged episode. I don't want to talk about this shit. It just, I leave my house and that's the problem. I leave my house. Yeah, so it's hard as it is to believe. There was a time, not too long ago, where you never saw black people here. Never. They weren't here. How? How would they be here? It costs so much money to just get here and then to live here. They say to live comfortably here, and comfortably meaning, you're eating and have toiletries, I guess. $150,000 a year. So you tell me some of those women, those Dollar General store women who are yelling out there, they're making $150K a year? Did they all become CEOs? I guess we solved the fucking the pay gap, I guess, because they all must be making $150K. All these dudes are that we're seeing walking around out there. No. From the government. It's a fucking military operation. Same one that's happening in Ireland. Same one that's happening in the UK. Same one that's happening anywhere there's white people. Yeah, we just didn't. They weren't here at all. And people are so fucked up, like these NPCs, even like around here, like when I try to sometimes talk to people about COVID, they get almost mad. Like, they don't want to talk about it. I tell people, but hey, remember when They refused to give out federal funds. Oh, this is how they did the big replacement of getting rid of people and then bringing them in. They refused to give out the federal funds to the citizens for COVID relief. So all these families, and the ones hardest hit, were the Native Islanders, they had no money to survive because they, like we have family. Most of the white people and the Asian people here have some kind of money. That's how they got here. That's how they stay here. But a lot of the Pacific Islanders who have lived here forever, it became an exclusive, pricey place around them. They didn't have a huge bank account to bankroll, waiting up to 8 months, some people a year. I never got my last check. They held the funds, and it was this crazy cat and mouse game between the people and them that played out in the media. At first they were saying, we're overwhelmed by these payments, we need to hire people to help us distribute them. There's a whole long story. You could probably find all the old articles about it, but yeah, first they were saying we need more people, then they're saying we don't have room for the people we hired. They said they're at the convention center. People started going down there demanding because they wouldn't pick up the phones. They put you on hold. They started getting armed guards to stand at the convention center. They fucking gave people the runaround when they needed it the most, What they did do is they gave everybody, I got one too, like a restaurant charge. Like it was $1,200 or something that you could use at any place that sold food around here to try to quiet us down. But families couldn't stay here. They had to go, and mostly it was Pacific Islander families. And they emptied out all the place. These fucking buildings were empty. They were empty. There's no one in them because it was just a lot of people were displaced by COVID. We have family here, so we were able to hang in and eke through it. But there were so many places. I remember walking around looking at them and going, wow, who's going to rent this thing? Who's going to rent it? No one's going to come back to Hawaii. I thought they were going to keep us in lockdown forever. I was so surprised when we came out of it. I was like, what are they doing? But yeah, I was looking at places like apartments, like, wow, I'm going to be able to get this place for nothing. We were going to move into that building right there. And then I saw the way the lanais were set up, the decks, and I was like, no fucking way, because they're not private. There's like a thin little divider there, and as I've talked about many times, people are a little bit friendly here, a little bit too friendly. And I'd be sitting up there having coffee one day, and the head would pop around the corner. What are you doing? I don't know. Some stranger, right? So I said, fuck that place. But yeah, they're all in there. There's some in this building, which used to be for elderly and handicapped. Nah, now it's for them too. My building, there's a lot in my building too. And they're all on government. SSDI specifically. I think they put them on SSDI so they could obfuscate the hit on welfare. And that's why they put them on. Like, the first was just a couple days ago. They're all in the stores on the first. That's probably why I'm seeing so many today, because they just got paid, As the end of the month dwindles, you see them less and less, because they're not, traditionally real good with money. I'll see them in these high-end places, too. Like these real high-end, kind of stores. They're going down like, dude, really? And then 2 weeks later, old Jed's not a millionaire anymore. Yeah, there's a lot to this story, and I just don't have the will to go through it right now. But I gotta go up there. My ice cream is melting. Thanks for dropping in. We're all gonna make it. It's gonna be fine. We're all gonna make it. Until then, thanks for dropping in. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.